All right, let's clap.
I like to clap.
1, 2, 3.
That was super good.
Cool.
It was one of our most synchronized clappings ever.
Good.
I'm feeling very expansive today, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's good. Expansive is a good feeling.
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to the Hamsteak Podcast. My name's Alex, and I have not read Homestuck before.
My name's Lydia, and before I tell you my relationship to Homestuck, I should mention that the thing we do on the Homesteak Podcast is we read Homestuck and we tell you about it.
That is a good thing to go first.
Yeah. Do we want to start over?
No, it's fine.
Okay. So I'm Lydia, and I have read Homestuck before. Now I'm rereading, along with all of you.
Yeah, before we get into the reading today, I just kind of wanted to bring up a couple of... What was I trying to say? Bring up a couple.
I heard bring a cock.
Oh.
I'm an adult.
So our last recording, our friend Dromedary on Twitter tried to ask a question, but missed the deadline of us being done recording. But that was for Mother's Day. And we just, Brian wants us to talk about the parents in HS. And Lydia, do you have any favorite parent/guardian?
Mom.
Cool.
Like Rose's mom.
Yeah.
Like her. I think she's interesting. I don't think we ever get to hear her speak, but I would love to see a whole story, like a grown-up story, like about her.
Cool.
What about you?
I think her as well, from what I've seen so far.
I think her dad would also be really interesting, honestly. Unless what?
Unless Becquerel counts, in which case that's really cool. Like,
Ooh,
I want to see more about Becquerel, which I'm sure we will pretty soon.
Oh boy.
Or if soon is a relative term. We also have a bit of follow-up with another Homestuck podcast, which is the Let Me Tell You About Homestuck, which we discussed a couple of episodes ago, and thought that they had stopped their project. They've actually restarted. One of the hosts, along with a new host, has returned to that endeavor of narrating Homestuck out loud on a podcast. So, and they reached out to us. So that's exciting. And if you want to go listen to another I'm going to keep saying Homesteak podcast, then Let Me Tell You About Homestuck is one that you can check out.
Yeah, you super should. They seem really nice. It's a mammoth undertaking, but they're actually moving along at a pretty good clip. And certain parts of this comic are really entertaining when read aloud, so it's fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So this week we're going to read from pages 3569 through 3699. So that's going to take us from just after Jack ascended to power last week through, I don't know, a bunch of stuff we're about to tell you about.
Yeah, last time we did mention that there's a big official recap in this reading. We're just going to skip that.
Yeah, we're not going to run down the whole thing.
Right, you took a couple of notes, right?
I have 3 things to say about it, 2.5. And then the rest of it is you should remember these plot points.
Cool.
We recapped them all for you in episode 13, and we're going to do our own another recap in episode 23, so...
Cool. So just to set up, the very beginning, we are both mumbling and stumbling a lot today.
Okay.
To set up the very beginning of this reading, we actually see Jack's fourth wall, which, remember, he has these fenestrated walls, 4-paneled windows, and he was missing the fourth one, and he found it, and it's a view of Andrew Hussey's room, and you see Andrew Hussey making Homestuck.
I want to note his painting of a horse attacking a football player in the background, and
that's something that is real.
Yeah, it's a whole drama. We're going to include in the show notes the horse painting saga, like the saga of the horse painting acquisition, because it was this whole thing. It was this whole thing, you guys. It's beyond the scope of this podcast, but you should check it out.
Yeah. So Hussey's here, and he's drawing the meteors flying at Skaya.
Yeah, we see a little bit of his monitor, and he just kind of like, he seems affronted, actually, that like, or not affronted, but he's sort of resigned to like the viewer like demanding to like have him explain stuff and like insert himself into the narrative, which is really not at all consistent with later on appearances, but it's kind of funny for now. He kind of wishes that he could turn off his side of the wall. But then we the readers do eventually convince him to type up a recap of the entire, because in real time, the comic has just finished its first year.
Yeah.
So I guess it's 2009 now. It's April 2009. And, not within the story. What we're reading right now was posted in April 2009.
I thought it started in 2009, and this was 2010.
Oh, no, yep, it would have been 2010. Yep, you're right.
Okay.
Because it started shortly after Obama was inaugurated. That's my...
There you go.
So so we're picking that up, and it's real long. I actually really recommend if you've been reading at pace with us, I super recommend that you read it. It's it'll take you like a solid 10 minutes, but like it's a really good refresher, and there's links like on every like fourth word that'll send you back to the panel where the thing that it's talking about happened.
That's really useful. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to read it, but I will afterwards, I think.
Yeah. They are like a real slog, though. I always like, if I'm doing a big reread, I'll like stop whenever I get to one of them and be like, okay, I have to come back to this.
Right.
So the big points that I wanted to mention from it, because I think I've been unclear about them. Like I was I was sort of mistaken on them, or I was vague, or like I thought we didn't know things that actually we do, at least according to these recaps. Because I do think in other ways these are sort of opportunities for Hussey to make explicit some things that he's maybe not conveyed as explicitly as he could through the narrative that he intends for the reader to know for sure. Mm-hmm. So, we've been saying, the trolls are upset with the kids because of something they're going to do that's going to cause a bunch of bad stuff to happen. And apparently we're supposed to know for sure that the reason they're upset with Jade is specifically, they're upset with Jade. That's the instigating event. And it's because she's going to send John a package which contains a powerful weapon, and it's going to get into Jack Noir's hands, and that's going to have quote-unquote dire consequences. And we saw those already. I just didn't remember that was specifically the instigating event we were concerned about because of the whole timeline thing.
Right.
So the dire consequences were Jack using, remember, the package that PM is trying to hunt down, which is currently in Jack's office, is apparently this really powerful weapon, which he took out. We haven't actually seen it yet. It happens off panel, but he takes it out and he uses it to cut off the Black Queen's finger and steal her ring and prototype himself out with all of the powers and mutations of the Colonel sprites.
Right.
And then just another little thing is that we're meant to infer that Dream Rose can actually understand what's going on with her meow scribbles. Like, she has woken up on Durst. She can see that she's written meow all over her walls, and we're meant to infer that she understands that that's, like, a code for...
Right, she can read the code. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And, did you say, what if we released a bonus episode of just us reading this out loud?
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
My radio voice is just not pleasant enough. I'm sorry.
So yeah, that's those are good to know. Thanks for tuning me into those.
Yeah.
It feels like a bit of that couldn't have been like figured out.
I agree. I think it's Hussey covering his own butt a little bit.
Yeah, which is, it's fine. It's a big sprawling thing.
It is. Every author of something this big and sprawling is, I guess not guilty, but like does take advantage of opportunities to just be like exposition dump, like some,
Right. Yeah.
But then I think we had very different reactions to Hussey's sort of monologue about how he creates this comic in which he engages in some of his, like, a really great example, like the epitome of his, like, hyperbolic wordplay.
Yeah. So my reaction to this was, like, to cringe, because it felt like I felt secondhand embarrassment from him saying all these, like, self-aggrandizing things.
Oh, okay, see, I read it as extremely facetious, so I found it very funny.
And that's fair, because, like, on one of the next pages, he describes Homestuck as playfully self-depreciating. Or no, he describes this segment with him as playfully self-depreciating.
Deprecating?
Yeah, yep, that's the word. Playfully self...
Don't worry about it. We all know.
Playfully plup.
Yeah, you're right. That's the sound that water balloons make when you drop a bunch of them out the window and they don't break.
And yet weirdly self-aggrandizing.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
I, like, love it. I love that tone in particular, because, I don't know, I think it's something, I think it's a thing. I don't quite do it. I certainly don't do it to this magnitude, but I like that, like, you go to, like, such extreme lengths to, like, talk about how great, like, your process is, that it's just, like, clearly just... Can we read it? I really want to read it.
Yeah, you read it.
Okay, so the instigating action is, the reader is supposed to be telling him, why don't you keep drawing Homestuck or something? And he's like, oh, but I don't merely draw Homestuck. And then he says, type the little arrow symbol, I'm about to make a joke. I conjure this intrepid fantasy-scape with tears bled from the wisdom-weary eyes of 50,000 imaginary magicians, not musicians. I pull heavy drags from the brooms of inspiration. I have never read the word broom, B-R-U-M-E, anywhere before or since in this usage. Of inspiration with enchanted bellows marauded from a guild of churlish mythical dwarves. Vast, bulbous... I'm not going to read the rest of this thing, but it's really funny. It's all in caps. Every single word has, like, 4 syllables, and I find it immensely entertaining, and you should read it.
Well, good.
Yep. It is sort of its own argument not to ever read it out loud, though. Alex is just like, I told you so. Didn't even have to tell you so.
Okay, so then we get a little funny gag where, he pastes the art of John, spiraling away on his rocket underneath the fourth wall window,
mm-hmm.
and then asks the player to just flip the window around so that we leave him alone.
Not only does he drag it underneath the fourth wall window, he does it... So we're looking through this fourth wall window at Hussey. Meanwhile, he's drawing the fourth wall window on the monitor that we can see through the window. So he's just dragging, like, one image under a Photoshop layer, and we can see Photoshop open, and then we, like, back up, and then we see him moving the image behind the actual window in actual comic view, and then it's really and it's really funny because it's literally just like, why don't we see more of what John's doing? And he's like, okay, what do you want me to draw? Anyway, then he basically calls it what it is and makes a comment about how he's going to get back to the story, because if this website becomes any more self-aware in a playfully self-deprecating yet weirdly self-aggrandizing manner, you're going to go drown a bag of puppies in a sewer, which is kind of unnecessarily violent, but I get the sentiment.
Yeah, I don't have such a problem with that, because it's such a it's not a specific slight to anyone. It's just like a hyperbolic mean thing to do.
Yeah. It's not, that's one of those, like, I have no, like, political problem with it whatsoever. It just makes me really, really super sad to hear stuff like that, or, like, dead baby jokes, like...
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. Like, that's the idea.
But, like, it's not even funny to me. It just, like, it makes me super sad.
No, it's funny to the person who made you sad, because they have their own issues.
No, I hate it. That's mean.
They're a sad sadist.
Oh. That's got two S's. Is that another alias of Jack Noir? Anyway, back in the actual comic, Gallows Calibrator is trolling John again, trying to get him to trust her.
And she is the other girl troll that we've met.
Right.
With like a squiggly M sign on her shirt.
Correct. And she is blind, but she can...
No, she's not the blind one.
Yes, she is.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking ahead to the other girl. No, yeah, she's the blind one.
Yes.
Right. Sorry.
That's okay. We don't know their names yet, so they're really hard to keep straight. I was just planning out our readings for Act 5 when we actually meet them all, and if it was hard for me before not to just name them, it's nigh impossible now. But yeah, so Gallows Calibrator is talking to John. She wants to give him a map of his planet, and he's like, why should I trust you? And she, again, kind of doesn't really ever make a substantive case, as the trolls do, but John decides to trust her anyway. And I do also want to point out, like, this is only, like, if you have been in the fandom or sort of have observed the fandom pretty closely for some reason, like, first, like, they're really into this sort of small running gag of referring to, like, Gigas with a G and Gog with a G also, and we haven't met Gog yet, but...
Okay.
I feel like it began because of the first Pastor log where it's mentioned. I think it might just be a typo because it's Dave Sprite talking to GC and he says Gigas and I don't think she repeats it back to him. But then I think Hussey decided to run with it and turn it into a running joke. Because now this is GC. She makes a Gigas joke with John, and John kind of takes her up on it. About, do you mean my Earth, Jesus? And she's just like, I don't know, do I?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it was, like, intentional or not in the first instance on Hussey's part, but I like that this becomes, like, just the trolls misheard, like, there was a communication error, and so they think that, like, Gigas is a holy name to invoke.
Right, but, like, I think GC picks up pretty quickly that it is actually, like, a misspelling or something, and just, like, rolls with it.
Yeah, exactly.
John asks her, do you have a troll Gigas? And she's just like, John, we have the best troll Gigas, you don't even know. But I think it's funny because the first time that this came up, I was Googling frantically, and I could not find the origin of the word, and I am pretty confident that, like, this is the kind of thing, like, someone would have written a Know Your Meme about or something, and, like, there's nothing. It was a typo, and they ran with it. And it's like it's got a super noticeable presence as a running gag, and it, like, doesn't have an origin story. It just started.
Well, I mean, it might be, like, a reference to, like, The Simpsons. Like, they have a Jeebus, basically the same thing.
Like,
where Homer says Jeebus instead of Jesus.
Like maybe, but, like... But, like, Dave Sprite hasn't, like, they haven't always been saying Gigas, and, like, it only happens with the trolls, and, like, I think maybe in spirit it is the same. It is, like, analogous, but... Which I guess would make it an homage, so...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like a subtle homage, maybe. I don't think it's that important.
Anyway.
Grand scheme of things.
I'm just, listen, the amount of time that I've spent trying to track down the origin of that stupid gag has made me very invested. My bad.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Then we get a Google map.
Yeah, it's just it's a flash that looks like Google Maps. And it's a photorealistic map of Lois.
Lois the planet.
Not Lois Griffin. Land of Wind and Shade. And by photorealistic, I mean it's like a real mountain range, Photoshop blue.
Yep. It's very pretty. I wish that it was a whole planet and you could actually explore it, but you can only zoom out so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably understandable. But GC is left two, like, geotags on it. The first gate and the second gate, because she wants him to go right to the second gate.
Right.
And on each one, she's left a little note for him. But also, each one has, like, her talking head beside it. But it also, she has, like, an arrow pointing at one saying, "Hi, this is me." Like, which is strange. She has, like, an icon of her own head. And she's like, hey, this is what I look like. Because he hasn't seen it, what the trolls look like yet.
Right. But, I don't know, I think it's reasonable to have it. I mean, if you imagine that that's like a cartoon, it's like a cartoon metaphor, and really it's just like a selfie of some kind, if you wanted to think of an analog.
Yeah. I mean, what do you, like, put... Anyway.
I wouldn't, personally. That seems a little weird. But she's weird. She, like, licks colors to taste them, so...
That's fair.
Then there's a joke that you're mad about.
I'm not mad about it. I think it was funny.
You use the word ruin.
Oh, no, I just say that, so, there's what looks like a loading screen. But, right, like, the text underneath it is, you spend 20 minutes staring at this image before you realize it's not a flash file. Which you only have to read to avoid doing.
Right, but I don't know, if depending on your screen resolution, you don't see the text immediately when you open the page, and so you're just waiting for the... Or you're not reading the text anyway, because you're just looking at... You're, like, waiting for the flash to load.
Right.
And,
well, either way, it only goes up to 9%, then cycles back.
Yeah, but, I mean, you spend a while looking at it. I definitely remember being fooled by it the first time. But I was also reading it at, like, 4 a.m.
I was fooled by it for, like, a couple of seconds.
Nice. I'm still, actually, honestly, it gets me pretty much every time. And I've gone through, like...
Well, because I read the text immediately.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry that we're not all so proactive as readers. We just can't be as engaged. My bad. So then we get trolled, as in we the readers. Then John actually does take GC's advice against perhaps his better judgment and goes through the second gate, and it takes him to Rose's planet.
Yeah, Lolar.
Yeah.
And he crashes right into her bedroom.
Where she proceeds to, like, sleep through it.
Yeah, so obviously some Dream Rose shenanigans are going on, because she is not waking up.
Mm-hmm. He spots Vodka Mutini, who's awake and, you know, kind of interested in what's going on. He names him Dr. Meowgon Spangler.
Yeah.
Which, okay, can you explain the joke?
I don't know.
Okay, wait, hang on a second. I'm gonna Google Spangler. Dr. Spangler. Egon Spangler. He is the character from Ghostbusters. He's played by Harold Ramis.
Sure.
So, there you go, folks.
I've never seen Ghostbusters.
Oh my goodness! You know what you should do? You should watch the reboot first. That will give you a very unique perspective on it.
Maybe.
Or not.
Maybe.
Are you just not interested in the entire franchise?
Kind of.
Oh, come on. It's a really fun movie.
I don't know. The whole aesthetic of it kind of grosses me out.
Really?
I don't like there's, like, slime and stuff. I don't like that.
Huh. Okay, I hadn't even really thought about the slime. I was like, God, everyone's got, like, ridiculous, like, 1980s hair, and, like, there's super goofy music, and it's amazing.
I'm not big on slime.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, you're gonna hate Act 5. Oh boy.
I'm okay with, like, a drawing of slime.
Okay.
Just
not photorealistic.
I guess.
Yeah, I feel that. I never liked the Nickelodeon, like, sliming. That sounds kind of disgusting.
Me neither.
Anyway.
And when like all their branding is slime.
Yeah, Jesus.
It's like, ugh, okay, I got it.
I'm glad that we as a society have moved away from the, like, late 90s, early 2000s, like...
Toys full of slime.
Like, general, like, children love gross out humor.
Right.
Thing. Like, no, they just, like, random, like... They just want to be surprised. They, you know, it doesn't have to be gross. It just has to be unconventional.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Anyway.
Anyway. So, Dave Sprite kind of explains how the gates work to John. And I'm going to try to run this down.
Yeah.
So, the way that they work is, he says it's like a round robin.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you take, so Lois 1, which is like the first gate that we went through, that leads to Lois 2, which we just went to, and that brings you out on the other side at Lolar 2, which is where Rose is.
Correct.
From there, they have to build up to Lolar 3, and then they'll have to go to Lolar 4, and that will take them through the other side to where Dave is, which is Lohak. And that'll be Lohak 4.
Almost.
Okay.
So it's the, like, John's, like, the Loas 1 and 2, there's only, like, 2 gates on each planet, right? So John goes through his first and second, and then he ends up at Rose's second, because the second gate is down on the planet, and has to go up, like, her house to the first, which will take him to... Oh, no, that's backwards. Anyway, I think there's only 2 gates on each planet, and I think it's, like, the first and second that you go through. So it does take him to the first gate. Right, because he crashed into her house, so, like, I guess that would be the first gate, and then...
Oh, okay, so it takes him to Lolar 1. Then.
Right, or it takes him... Yeah, because remember, the first gate is very high above the house, so it took him to where that gate would be, and he only didn't fall to his death because he had a rocket pack on.
Right, okay.
So, yeah, so that's his first gate. So then he has to go find, like, Rose's second gate, his third, right? And then that will take him to Dave's first gate, his fourth gate, etc.
Right.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's not actually all that important. The point is he's going to go through all his friends' worlds. He's going to go to Rose's world, then Dave's world, and then presumably to Jade's world.
Right. Then John is like, can I talk to the real Dave? Yeah. And Dave's right is, like, I'm a real Dave. Like, I'm actually more experienced. Like, I was alive for a year longer. And that really sucks that you said that to me.
Yeah, he was like, I am the real Dave. You know, the one who saved your life.
Yeah. And then he's like, he gives John a code from the future, not like he fucking deserves it.
Dave's words.
Yeah.
Dave's feelings are really hurt by this, and he's like, I mean, he's Dave, so he's deadpanning, but, like, his feelings are he's really messed up about this.
Yeah, so then John does talk to Dave Prime, that's what I'll call him for the time being.
Sure.
Who says, don't worry about it, I wouldn't give a shit, and he's me.
And I think that is either current Dave being callous, or I am inclined to believe that it is current Dave refusing to engage with his own feelings.
I feel almost like he believes it more than Dave Sprite does, because Dave Sprite's been through a lot more trauma.
Yeah, I think so too. I get the impression that this is the beginning, and we'll see more gets done with this. I find Dave himself kind of boring, but this whole arc of, you know, I'm you, I have the same kind of relationships with your friends as you do, and I've done all of this stuff for them, and, like, I've also gone through a lot of trauma that, like, you'll never be able to really understand.
Yeah, and probably, like, Dave Sprite, like, doesn't take them for granted, like Dave might. And
right.
Will just be, like, probably will diverge into a more emotionally open person. That's what I'm guessing.
It's interesting, and I don't remember exactly how that arc plays out, and I think actually it may continue to play out in a bunch of the Homestuck that I have not read.
Okay.
So, but this is this is one of the more interesting character arcs. Yeah.
And then John does he says thank you to Dave Sprite. Like, thanks for saving my life.
Yeah. Of course, like, how do you thank someone enough, or how do you apologize enough for that? But he does, like, I mean, as much as would be, I guess, appropriate, he does.
Yeah, just kind of casually is like, hey, sorry, I said that. Mm-hmm. You are real. Thanks for saving my life. Which is sweet.
Yeah. Then Dave goes and copies the captcha code. He tricks John to showing, like, to Dave's sort of server player view, the captcha code for Rose's, like, secret journals.
Yeah. Which is, it was mean.
Yeah.
So Dave now has the ability to make copies of Rose's journals.
Right.
Um,
So I take issue here. I don't know. This makes an excellent, an interesting point about. Can I go on a tangent about like information theory?
I guess so. That was kind of out of left field.
Well, like, okay, so it's not really about information theory. I know what information theory is, but I don't really super know the details. But like, okay, so like it's already kind of far-fetched that these captcha codes contain enough information to create these physical objects, right? And their entire like chemical composition and arrangement and everything.
Because, it's like, it's like 10 spaces, like character spaces.
Yeah.
And
so it's what, 36 to the 10th then. Possibilities.
Is it factorial or what?
No, it's you raise, so the number of digits that you have for each, I took discrete math, each digit place, if it doesn't matter, if you can have repeated digits, then just each digit place, like however many possibilities there are for that place, you just raise that, like you multiply it by itself for the number of digit places you have, so you just raise it to the power of the digit number. So if it's 36 or 40, whatever digits, because it's, or I guess it would be 52 plus 10 plus like 5, so like about 60 characters per spot, so that's 60 to the 10th, which is a big number. There's more elements than that. Plus, there's, like, magic implicated here. Plus, there is a literally infinite number of, okay, maybe it's sort of constrained, but then you're operating in physical space, so really things aren't truly constrained, so you've got essentially infinite possibilities. It doesn't really work out, but so even if you accept the conceit that somehow these captcha codes do encode things like backpacks and fantastic weapons and whatever, there is even more information stored in a journal. Because, like, not only do you have its entire, like, physical arrangement, but, like, there is also...
But the information is a physical arrangement. It's just, like, layers of graphite.
Like, it is, but, like, I don't know, it seems...
I mean, it's obviously, like, it's absurd and, like, far-fetched.
It, like, is, but that's, like, I don't know, it just kind of, like, boggles me.
But I feel like kind of the part of the reasoning behind it is like this, like the real world that they live in is implied to be kind of a game world, which would not account for like individual atoms.
Right, there are discrete numbers of
units.
Units.
Objects are like discrete entities in ways that they are not in the real world.
That's true.
Which I mean is kind of like a lazy workaround, but
well,
I feel like that's what Huzzy would say.
It's either a lazy workaround or an interesting conceit, which I think is a pretty common theme in this comic.
Yeah, interesting conceit is a better word for it.
But anyway, so he basically steals her journals, which is, I don't like that. John himself is like, I'm not going to open her journals. Like, don't ask me to do that. And Dave's like, oh, you should snoop through her stuff. He's like, I'm not going to snoop through her stuff.
Yeah.
He does look at her bookshelf because, that's being displayed, sort of. And he does open...
He says information is meant to be shared.
Yeah. But, okay, so before he does that, we get a little interlude of Rose up on Durst. She's awake. Dream Rose. Mm-hmm. Which, she's alive, by the way.
Oh, right.
It's also nice to know. Despite going through that whole separate timeline thing. Mm-hmm. And, okay, so she's alive, and we might want to infer that she can remember a little bit about that timeline, because if you remember Dave and Rose's last conversation, they were talking about, maybe, Dave said to Rose, maybe you'll wake me up this time, and we won't have to go through such a song and dance again. And she does.
And she does. And yeah, I think it's fair to say that she has some recollection of that timeline because she goes up to Dave's window on Durst and just kind of gives him a fond look.
Well, she chucks a ball of yarn at him to wake him up.
And then gives him a fond look.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really, really cute. It's really cute. You guys, these characters... So John and Rose are in the same room in the medium right now, but Rose is asleep. So this is the first time two, like, conscious characters...
Right.
Are meeting each other for real, and it's really cute. They just hang out in Dave's room, and and they listen to music. They jam.
Yeah, they do.
I'm jumping ahead a little bit in that because that happens a little bit further on in their reading, but that's chronologically what happens next.
And also, there's a dream Cal there. Cal is here.
Yeah, he moves around on his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's here. Oh, I don't think I mentioned that in Hussey's room there was a real Cal photoshopped into his room.
Yeah, there was a photo of someone made a cow, a plush cow, and it's unsettling.
Yeah, and it was moving around of its own volition in fiction.
Yep.
In Hussey's room, and that made me really. Ugh.
Yeah, that puppet, honestly, he's set up as super creepy, and I don't find him super creepy initially, but then, the longer this comic goes on, the creepier he gets.
Yeah, I just, yeah. He kind of, he hits, a clown vibe for me, which is not great, and then he's also just, intentionally creepy.
Yeah.
And also just, a gross, white rapper caricature.
Yeah, it's bad. And I think that is kind of being used specifically to amplify the creepy factor.
Yeah.
You know, just the jangling kind of I don't know that it was I don't know how explicit that intention was, but I do think that it's oh god, it's this sort of multi-layered thing where it's okay, so that is kind of racist by painting hip-hop tropes as clownish, but then it is also sort of critiquing the genuine clownishness of white folks who have no business doing it, appropriating it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I don't know that any of that was an explicit intention in constructing this gag, but it sure does make it creepy.
It sure does. Yeah, we don't have to talk more about it.
I think we've deconstructed it sufficiently.
Yeah. Also, in Dave's room on Durst, there is scrawls on the wall, and they are Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff.
Yep.
In neon colors.
Yeah, the JPEG artifacts he lovingly rendered on the walls.
Yeah, they look like glow stick residue.
Oh god, yeah.
Glow stick finger paintings.
Oh man, those things get so gross though. Because they start to fade, and then it's you want to talk about not liking slime, bleh. So we're getting back to John hanging out in Rose's room, and he takes a look at her bookshelf. There's a funny gag about This Ocean Charles being a book by American sports legend Charles Barkley, philosophy tome, and then he finds his gift from her that she had not gotten to send yet, and he figures it's okay to open that because it's really for him anyway.
Yeah. And this gift is, it's the Con Air Bunny. And it's very old and, looks almost burnt.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly has time traveled, in my opinion. And she's Frankensteined it with, purple striped yarn, so half of its body is, new purple striped yarn, and the other half is charred, stuffed bunny flesh. And she says that it's she's had it forever, and it's always been too delicate to wash or fix, so she's saved its life, and that she thinks it's a nice gesture to him because he's the one who taught her how to knit, and it's really sweet.
It's really beautiful. I love these kids' friendships. They're so...
Especially in, the birthday gifts are just, so much concentrated, affection.
Yeah. Yeah, these friendships are really, I don't know. People talk about... I feel sometimes, when people talk about, Homestuck and the things that make it interesting, yeah, there's, all of the weird metatextual stuff, and, yeah, there's, it's sprawl and whatever, but, honestly, the reason that I read it is, A, it's funny, and B, the relationships between the characters are so, they're so, genuine in a lot of ways, and they're very, touching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really sweet. So we get a couple of pages of the text kind of skirting around the possibility of it being the same bunny, which it is.
Definitely.
And then John deploys Casey the Salamander, who is in his Silodex and who is holding the other bunny.
Right, which doesn't cause a time paradox, which is kind of nice.
Well, he doesn't take the bunny out of his Silodex. He just takes her out.
Oh, I see.
So I don't know. I don't know if they would count as the same object anymore.
No.
They're so different.
It's okay. That's not how paradoxes work in this universe. It's only
Okay.
if you tried to appearify something that, like, has to be somewhere else for some reason, then you get, like, slime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So then, then GA... Then we witnessed GA's first conversation with Rose. If you remember, she hinted that, this is Grim Auxiliatrix, she hinted that she got an impression from Rose that she wasn't all that intelligent.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because, from her perspective, her first conversation with Rose is actually John answering for her, which normally would be kind of messed up, but it's a troll, so I feel like I wouldn't mind if I was being persistently trolled by someone and my friend answered them for me. I think that would be kind of funny.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, they have a conversation. And John...
That's a very, like, real 13-year-old thing to do.
Oh, for sure. Oh my god, do you remember people, like, posting Facebook statuses for you?
You got hacked. Oh, man.
My fave.
That never happened to me. I didn't have enough friends.
Oh. I don't think it ever happened to me. I think I did do it to a few people. They appreciated it.
That's nice.
Yeah. Anyway,
so yeah.
Go.
Sorry.
Go.
Yeah. So yeah, this is GA's first combo with Rose. And there's a lot of banter here on John's part, and GA just kind of doesn't know how to handle it. She's like, I thought you were the smart one. Like, is this your human sarcasm?
Which is so funny, because if you compare it to just a few conversations later from her perspective, earlier from Rose's perspective, she's already, like, becoming quite witty. Mm-hmm. So, it's pretty good. We have that conversation, and then we switch views to the Veil.
The Veil in the Trolls instance. So we see, like, the room where they are.
The room where it happens?
The room where it's happening, man.
The room where they're making this happen.
Right, that's the one.
Oh, God. I'm sorry.
So we see GA, and we see CG and GC on the sides, I think.
So Grim Auxiliatrix, and then we see
Adios Toreador on one side, and then
Gallus Calibrator on the other.
Right.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. It's quite easy to distinguish them based on their initials in text, but when you're saying it out loud, they all sound the same.
Yeah, it's actually not for me. It's not easy to distinguish them by their initials in text.
Okay.
But we meet Twin Armageddons.
Who, unsurprisingly, has got the Gemini astrological symbol on his t-shirt.
That's what I assumed it was. And yeah, I think... So he's the one setting up these computer terminals for all the other trolls to use. But he doesn't want to troll the humans themselves. He thinks that's a waste of time. So he's probably the hacker that GC was talking about earlier.
Correct. We should specify that the reason he's not into trolling the humans is because he thinks it's pointless, because he has known for a while now that the trolls are all going to die. And apparently they didn't believe him for a long time, and now they did.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a piece of information to know, is that these alien children are hurtling toward their doom.
Right.
Yep.
That's fun. So yeah, he has a Gemini logo. He has these, like, 3D glasses on, like the red and blue lens ones. And he has 2 pairs of horns. They're kind of like... They're like 2 normal horns, and then underneath each one is a smaller horn.
Right. Because Gemini.
Yeah. So he's, like, he's twin-themed. He also has 1 black and 1 white shoe.
Yeah.
And his typing quirk is really annoying.
Yeah.
Every I gets doubled.
Uh-huh.
Every S gets turned into a 2. And the word 2, as in go to there, gets turned into the number 2 spelled out.
Yeah, so instead of instead of TO or the number 2, it's TWO.
Yeah.
Do you remember how I said that how the obnoxiousness of reading a troll's typing quirk is roughly proportional, is like inversely proportional to its, like the readability of a typing quirk is directly proportional to a troll's importance? So it's not like he's not important because like this is a sprawling cast and everybody actually has pretty important roles to play, but he's not he's not one of the most important ones.
Right.
Yep.
But although Gallows Calibrator seems really important, and hers is kind of the hardest for me to follow so far.
Oh boy. Wait and see. It's honestly, I kind of want to make like, or actually I am certain this exists already, like a Chrome extension that just translates each of the typing quirks. Like, just ponify it.
That's like cheating.
I mean, like, it is, and it does sort of hamstring it, but, like, I don't know, maybe if you have, like, problems with reading or something, like, that might be really helpful.
That's true.
I'm sure it exists already, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then we go back to the Durst streamers.
We already talked about this. They're jamming out in their room. Yeah. Getting some creepy close-ups.
But now we see the ending of that scene, which is Rose throwing Cal out the window.
Oh, right, yes. She is just having none of it and pitches it out the window. Then we cut to... Well, okay, then we get Rose. Be the pony. Mm-hmm. Remember the pony? So, Rose has a pony.
There's like a real live horse who was in Rose's house the whole time.
Yup.
That we forgot about. Or at least I forgot about completely.
Yeah.
And it has followed Rose's mom, which is strange because she was, like, in a boat. In a small rowboat. Mm-hmm. So I assume that the horse was also in the boat?
Don't worry about it.
It swam there. Okay.
This is fine.
But anyway, the boat has been washed up on this small island with a doorway buried in the sand. And the horse follows Rose's mom into this ruin, basically. And inside, there are turtle engravings on the walls.
Unsurprising.
Which is similar to the frog temple. With the illegal imagery.
Yeah, the illegal frog imagery. Yeah, it's really cute. Rose's mom has gone through well, okay, first of all, Maplehoof discovers this enormous grist hoard, like a bunch of crystals that are like many times bigger than this pony. Mm-hmm. And the thing you're meant to infer is Rose's mom, we saw her fighting a big monster and it wasn't made explicit, but Rose's mom was battling and has now killed Rose's denizen. Defeated
the denizen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is interesting because that's supposed to be like the final boss of each world, right?
Yep.
That's what John was going to get killed by, was his denizen.
Exactly.
So, wow.
Rose's mom is good at things.
Yeah. And luckily, apparently Maplehoof can collect all this grist for Rose.
Yeah.
But there's so much of it that it basically maxes out some of her, like, grist counters in her inventory. And some of it goes into the grist gutter, which will dole out the extra grist through the grist torrent to the other players. So that's nice.
I'm, like, so bored of that mechanic. That's so unnecessary to, like, dwell on it as much as...
I feel like this is kind of saying, like, look, we have so much grist, don't worry about it anymore.
That's true. It's a nice way to just not talk about it.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And Maplehoof just misses the mom, who is transportalizing away somewhere.
But Maplehoof decides to follow. But Maplehoof is worried about being bisected by a transportalizer meant for bipeds, so it stands up on its hind legs.
Yeah.
That's really cute. And so they transportalize away, and then...
Rose stop being the horse, John start being the hat.
Yep.
So now we're the hat. And this is the hat that was summoned by John on Lois
Via the parcel Pixis.
Yes, the mail system there. And the breeze carries it right to Dad, who has also found a shoe which he was missing one of.
Yeah, because remember, John put a shoe in as well. He got those tablets.
And we did that.
Yeah.
That was us in the game. We helped Dad.
It me. But yeah, so...
Or actually, it was PM.
Actually, it was PM. Actually, it was John.
Well, it was PM telling John. It was PM controlling John.
Right.
Kind of.
It was us controlling PM, controlling John.
This comic.
Don't worry about it. Dad is very grateful for his new wardrobe and looks up in time to spot Grandpa Harley clutching a copy of Colonel Sassacre.
Mm-hmm. And I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
We've seen this horse that's linked to Rose and this hat and Colonel Sassacre that's linked to John. Are these the Guardians?
No.
Okay.
No. It's the mom and the dad.
Oh, I thought you said they weren't quite.
They are. It's the word guardian. Like, there's sort of two meanings of that word as I understand it.
Okay.
And we will learn the other one later.
I see. So Dad and Grandpa both go into this other underground place on Lois, and they transportalize somewhere else.
Right, and we don't know where yet.
No.
Then we got back to John, who's trying to use the code that Dave Sprite gave him, and the weapon, the Fear No Anvil that he wants to make is like the size of a house, and it's too expensive to make right now, so he's gonna, he makes a scaled down version of it, and it's a pretty dope looking hammer. It's got time powers.
Yeah, so this is a nice, payoff for the, really long sequence of Dave and Rose kind of messing around with Rose's alchemizer.
Right.
Giving it all those add-ons. And basically what that meant is that John can take this huge hammer that he can't afford and make a smaller version, which he can't afford, and it's handheld.
Right. Because he's lost his little ghost gloves, I think.
Yeah. So it turns out... Oh no, he has the gloves.
He has them, they just wouldn't be enough. Right.
To hold this enormous hammer, yeah.
Right.
And he's lost, the hammer that he was using those for.
Right.
The Sassa Crusher.
Right. So then John is asking Dave Sprite, where did you get this? And Dave of Dave Sprite is like, hey, I got it from Hephaestus, who is, he says, a really tough to kill dude. And John asks, wait, so how did you beat him? I thought, that would be really difficult. And he was like, I didn't have to kill him.
Well, what he says specifically is, did you kill him to get it? And Dave Sprite says, I didn't kill him to get it. Which made it seem to me like he killed him anyway.
Hang on a second. We're going to fact check. Okay, so the conversation goes... John says, I thought you couldn't use hammers. And Dave goes, I can't. Better be, though. Better be a powerful hammer. I got it from Hephaestus. John says, who's that? Dave tells him he's a really tough to kill dude. And John asks him, you killed him for it? And Dave just says, nope. And John's like, how'd you get it then? Dave says, shenanigans.
Yeah.
This will be interesting. Pay attention to this later on.
Okay. But yeah, Hephaestus, that's interesting.
Remember how Dave's browser's name is Hephaestus?
Yes. So my guess is that that's the name of Dave's denizen.
Okay. You say don't answer, so, I can't confirm or deny.
Yeah, I know. And we know he's not the Guardian.
Okay.
So now we go back to Dream Rose, who can see on Dream Dave's monitor that John is at her house.
And that makes her wake up.
Yeah. And so she goes Oh, wait, that's in a little bit.
Much later, we will see her back in her house, but before then, we get to see how the trolls are actually talking to the kids. Like, we actually get to see the chat client.
Yeah. So the chat client's called Trollian.
Yep.
Which, that's a goof on Trillion, but I never use that, so I don't know if it's like, it looks like Trillion.
It's a goof on Trillion, which is further a goof on the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Right.
Good.
Well, Trillion was like a real, chat client.
But I think it was not a chat. Which came first, the Hitchhiker's Guide character or the chat client?
Oh, the character.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just named after her.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So the chat client is a goof on Hitchhiker's Guide, and then this chat client is a goof on the real life chat client.
Right.
Yep.
So the list of humans is called the chump roll instead of the chum roll.
Yeah, and then we can see timelines represented as arrows, and they just point straight. But you can see that there's a gray bar underneath the arrow of each kid that turns black at the point where they enter the medium.
Right. And
then the trolls can click on those arrows kind of wherever they want and interact with them at that point in the timeline.
Yeah, so that makes sense. That makes more sense than... well, I guess it's kind of a bit more disappointing than what I imagined, which was them scrolling through... clicking through the archives of their MSPA.
That would be even more meta. That'd be pretty sick, you're right.
If the visuals of the humans that they saw were those terribly drawn, MS Paint pictures, that would be really good.
True.
But no, this seems more practical.
But yes, so they do see images of the kids similarly to how the server players see it. There's a whole saga of Grim Auxiliatrix is trying to open the viewport, can't figure out how to do it, and is trying to get Twin Armageddons to do it for her. And he's like, no, I'm busy, you should be able to figure this out yourself. He's like, press F1, and she throws her F1 key at his head to make him set it up for her. And the bottom line is, she gets the viewport open, and she can see the kids at whatever point she wants to talk to them.
Right.
Meanwhile, what she uses it for is to look at Rose, and so we actually go to that point in Rose's story where she's waking up in her room, which John has just left, though he's still in her house. And
well, he's on the balcony outside with the alchemizer.
Right.
So yeah, she walks towards the door, and is about to uneventfully walk out the door.
But gets a bucket of gushers dumped on her head.
Yeah.
As a little prank.
As a thoughtful but mischievous thank you gesture.
Yeah. But unfortunately, just as she gets ready to head upstairs, John is strapping on his rocket pack and saying, well, I guess Rose isn't going to wake up anytime soon, so I'm going to rocket away.
Bounce.
And so we just see Rose, watching him go.
Yeah, and it's really sad.
It is really sad, but I also kind of noticed that, so, I don't know, the moment when John is, rocketing off, he's, found this new little kitten that he's, named, and he's got his rocket pack on, and he's on this new planet, and he's about to go find the next gate,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it really nicely captures this, sense of, adventure that,
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I kind of feel like the reason, I figured out one of the reasons why, this comic kind of lost me later on, and I think it was the loss of because everything is so orchestrated, once we got to the part of the story where it was just tying up loose ends for many thousands of pages,
mm-hmm.
It's interesting to see how that unfolds. It's really interesting, but it doesn't have any of that sense of adventure anymore.
That's interesting.
So.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, but it's okay. I think I'll be into it when we get back to it with this podcast. I'll be pretty excited to find out how it ends.
Right. Also, a couple episodes ago, I guessed that the kids always miss each other and never actually meet face to face while they're awake, and you said that was a sore subject. So I'm going to guess that this continues to happen.
It keeps happening.
You guys.
What?
It keeps happening.
Yes. This comic. So Rose watches him go. Meanwhile, up on Durst, Lil Cal is falling out the window. Dave's watching him fall. And happens to land on a convenient passing hoverboard.
Yeah. Yeah, that confused me for a second.
Yeah, it's Bro's hoverboard.
It's Bro's hoverboard. And the question is, how did it get there? But I guess it just kept rocketing off from wherever Bro lost it.
Right.
Which we don't know yet.
Right. But meanwhile, the authority regulator, who's, like, will be AR in the future, he looks up and he spots this puppet riding a hoverboard, and he's like, this is definitely illegal, and, like, goes and intervenes.
Yeah, and yeah, you mentioned there's something particularly funny about calling things like this illegal. It is really good. It's a good word for, like lemon grab saying unacceptable.
Yes. Yes, I hear it in sort of a lemon grabby voice.
For sure.
It's illegal. So then AR is tailing this hoverboarding puppet. Meanwhile, John is jetpacking over the ocean on Lolar with this kitten that he's just befriended. And oh my god, I want to be John right now. I want to be there. I want to have a rocket pack and fly over this beautiful ocean planet in the sunshine with a beautiful kitty.
That's interesting because I feel very strongly that I would not want to be anyone in this comic. I would not want to be in this comic.
Well, I wouldn't want the overarching circumstances, but if I could just have that experience in a vacuum, like if I could just explore Lolar like with a rocket pack and a kitten,
right.
Oh hell yeah. Sign me way up.
Right. Yeah, that is good.
Yeah. So then John's flying around and he spots Mom's boat.
Mm-hmm. So he sets down on this island and he sees the hoof steps going up to the temple.
The hoof steps. And then, so he heads inside, and unlike Maplehoof, who found it pretty much uninhabited, he runs into some monsters, and we get to see how powerful his new hammer is.
Yeah, it seems like it has cool time powers.
Yeah, it does. He conducts a crazy damage bonk. That's pretty fun. He spots a platform, which is a transportalizer. He's never seen one before, but he spots one, and he goes and stands on it, and it transports him to the Vale.
Yep.
Whoops.
Yep.
Not the Trolls' Vale, their own Vale in the kids' session.
Yes. And I just noticed as it was kind of as I was writing down that he was with Vodka Mutini, and he's where Mom and Maplehoof just were. That all of Rose's, like, companions have M names. I'm wondering if that's significant or just a coincidence.
Oh, I think that might just be a coincidence, actually.
Okay.
Because, I mean, Jasper's doesn't,
Oh, you're right, yeah.
But Meow does. That's an interesting coincidence, though.
Well, it's not a letter of the genetic alphabet, so it doesn't matter.
That's true. But so John finds himself in this asteroid lab, and there's like, oh boy, it's... Alex, tell us about this place.
Well, it's all gray. It's all in grayscale. And there is basically a central, like, column of these big, like, glass vats, basically. Like in a classic, like, science fiction cloning lab. There's these huge chess pieces in the middle, and then in these smaller vats around them are these humanoid figures that are kind of suspended in these chambers.
Yeah, these, like, vats of fluid.
Yeah, so that's where I assume that the minions are being engineered, as we learned about last time.
Yeah, dude.
And they're being prototypes from those chess pieces, which is interesting because there's black and white pieces there.
Right, because you remember we learned that the Vale is neutral territory,
mm-hmm.
So they both kind of use the.
Which makes sense. That explains why it's all gray.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's just meant to make it look it's sort of industrial, but that's an interesting point.
Yeah, and there's also John. When John gets there, he's on this, like, row of transportalizers, like along the wall,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting. It seems like a central point.
Right. There's also some crap lying around the lab.
Yeah, there's, Maplehoof, who's not crap, but, there's the Colonel Sassiger book, the old hat that Dad had, and Cal is there.
Right.
So it seems like all of these transportalizers that people have been going into this reading have been landing them here.
Right, but they've already had time to disperse, so who knows where they've gone.
Right.
John spends many panels just asking what the hell is going on here, looking at these enormous... Because they're like 2-story tall vats full of, like, fetal chess piece creature. It's, like, creepy.
Right. It is. He also sees a little stand with some clothes on it that seem perfectly tailored for him, including a belt with his Slimer logo.
So he just puts it on.
He just puts it on. He equips the junior ectobiologist lab suit.
Mm-hmm. It's less cool looking than his last one, IMO.
It is. It's like bright green.
Yeah.
Like slime green.
Yes.
Which is like the evil version of lime green.
Dark lime green, show me slime green.
Yeah. Dark lime green is just like a different kind of green. Anyway, he sees a terminal, a monitor with 4 screens on it, just like WVs, and he recognizes it.
No, we recognize it. He's never seen it before.
Well, the text says this looks familiar.
Yeah, he's addressing the reader.
That's not him. Okay.
Yeah. In that case, you're meant to assume that it's because John is still going through his what the hell is going on here
right
situation. Then we pop away from John and we're back to AR, who we can see like has followed Cal on this hoverboard, and I guess he left Cal in the lab because remember they all transportalized to the same place. He's taken the hoverboard outside and he's just popping wheelies.
Yeah, off of meteors or asteroids.
Yeah,
like you do.
Yeah, these hops are unlegal. These hops are unreal. Shit, this flagrant should be illegal. It probably is, but you don't care, even though you're an authority regulator.
Well, he's in the Veil.
He is in the Veil. It's true.
No man's land.
Mm. Then we go to PM, who's about to get on her shuttle from Prospect onto the battlefield to go talk to the White King, and behind her, like a hat just keeps growing into the frame. It just keeps, there's a lot of it. It's all vertical.
Yeah, and usually this would be like a GIF, like showing the hat rising. But it's like 4 separate pages of just the hat rising up. And it's Clubstooth. It's CD.
Yeah.
He's Courtyard Troll. And his hat is like, he's the short one, remember? And his hat is like 4 times taller than he is.
It's amazing. It's got little kitty cat ears on it too.
Yeah, it's like a princess / jester / kitty hat.
Oh, it's amazing. And he, despite being like incredibly conspicuous, he manages to pickpocket PM and snags the ring from her.
Yeah, the royal ring with 4 pearls around it.
Right. Which is what she was bringing to the battlefield to learn how to, like, store it for safekeeping. Right. PM has no idea.
Yeah, PM gets on her shuttle without the ring.
Right.
And so CD calls in to DD?
The Draconian Dignitary.
Draconian Dignitary.
Yep.
/ Diamond Stroog.
Right.
Who says, okay, we're all set up. What's the other guy's name?
So now he's going as the Sovereign Slayer.
No, the other guy.
Oh, Heart's Boxcar. I don't remember his first name.
So he's like, okay, this guy's set up, and Sovereign Slayer is ready to roll with our plan. Mm-hmm. Which is, so Jack Noir / Spade Slick is now Sovereign Slayer. Mm-hmm.
And you said, I absolutely forgot they exist in the same plane of reality?
That happens when Jade slams into the panel and kicks CD in the face.
Yes! Oh, she gets to do so much good action here!
Yeah, so I forgot that the Dream Kids are on the same planets that these machinations are happening on.
Yeah, dude, isn't it weird to see? I think this is the first time we've seen a human and one of these, like, chess piece people.
Well, like, way back, like, when we first saw Dream Jade, we saw, like, PM looking up at her.
Right.
But we didn't, like, they didn't interact, and we didn't really know what was going on, or at least I didn't.
Right. But now she's clobbering them.
Yeah, so she beats CD in a major way.
It's kind of, I mean, it's actually kind of sad, because CD has no idea what the hell he's doing. He's, like, a very innocent boy, but,
He's the bumbling one.
Yeah.
Well, the bumbling one who, like put bombs on people's heads.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's working for the bad guys, but he you know, Diamond's Drew tells him he can take off his, like, princess getup, and he's like, no, I like it.
Yeah. And also, when Dream Jade is beating CD up on Earth, it's still on Earth now.
No, so she's beating, Dream Jade is beating up CD on Prospect while Earth's Dreambot Jade is beating up the taxidermied grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like you do. And then we see that she does successfully get the ring from him.
Mm-hmm. And then she's gonna put it on. Whoa.
Except nah.
Well, we see a chalk drawing of Jade all prototyped.
Right.
And then it's like, it's okay, never mind, it doesn't work on humans. It's fun to pretend, though.
Yeah. Like, of course, I think the implication of it to be like, this is Jade's imagination.
Yeah.
And it's very cute. And that's the end, right?
Yeah, that's all it is.
So that's all there is, and we don't have any listener questions this week, right?
Well, aside from the first one that we did quickly at the beginning.
Right. So we have already handled that one. We would like to hear from you, though. So if you want to send us an ask on Tumblr, we are hamsteakpodcast.tumblr.com. On Twitter, we are @hamsteakpodcast. If you want to ask something with spoilers for some reason, I obviously won't be able to say the spoilers out loud. But if you're worried about spoiling Alex, you can send me a DM. I am Brickchip on Tumblr, or you can send me an ask. Or no, excuse me. Well, I'm Brickchip on Tumblr and Twitter. You can send me an ask on Tumblr, or you can send me a DM on Twitter.
You could also send her a DM on Tumblr now with this fancy Tumblr messaging.
You know you could, but the little alert sound kind of psychs me out. Actually, I think it's more reliable than asks, so maybe send me a DM on Tumblr.
You should turn those sounds off.
I mean, I usually just keep my computer on mute anyway.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I, meanwhile, am on Twitter as Crunchleaf and Tumblr as LeafCrunch. And that is, I think that's it.
That's the end. Yeah, next week we are going to be telling you about wrapping up Act 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting to the end.
So is 5, like, is 5 where it starts having acts within the acts?
Yes, I believe Act 5 is split into 2 acts.
Okay.
And we should, if we don't have to miss any weeks, we should be on track. Everybody says, okay, Homestuck is boring, pick up at the 5th act with the trolls. We're starting the 5th act. We're going to meet the trolls by name. You guys, it's happening. That's going to start probably June 13th. Maybe the week after.
Cool.
But we should get there soon.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll always let you know if our scheduling changes.
Yeah, we're all in the middle of, like, graduating and moving and stuff, so life is exciting, but we'll keep you posted.
Life is great and exciting. And now we're going to say goodbye.
That's all for this week. I guess we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.